Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon. I'm super happy to be live here again with you. We love taking risks and we love doing live things. Good morning, Nagesh, Jessica, David, Ian, Ravi, Mohammed, and Nick Akincilar. Did I say that right?
Right enough.
Right enough. How are you doing, Nick? And how do
Pretty
you
good.
say your name?
Akincilar.
Akincilar. Yes, I've
Yeah,
been.
almost like Sinclair, but slightly different.
That makes sense. Where are you today, Nick?
From Philadelphia.
From
Joining from Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Cool. And in sunny California, that's starting to get colder these days.
Yeah, likewise.
Uh, yes. And let me check. So we have, whoa, more than 300 people on LinkedIn and also a smaller number on YouTube, but both work, both will have their recording later. People always want to know if we are going to have the recording. And yes, this is being recorded. This is going to be available immediately after we're done. We love taking risks. We like making things hard. So we're ready for your questions. Isa wants me to call her by her name, and I just did. Uh, and yes, Paul says that Scotland is very cold. But what's hot today? What do you want to talk about today, Nick? Because I love having new features to show off and demo.
Yep. We'll be covering today the new external network feature that they
External
just added to
network.
Snowflake. Yeah.
Yep, I've been seeing blogs. So, for example, here Vivianesh Saxena wrote this blog: external network access on Snowflake Snowpark, unlocking new capabilities. Because Snowflake, for a long time, have been able to call external functions. How
Right.
is this different?
Yeah. So since the inception, I guess 2015, later they added the external functions, but the
Mhm.
with the external functions, the limitation was you had to have an intermediate Lambda service basically, and then the rest, and it was a REST API call all the time, and then it had to be in a specific way. So you always had a, a REST API plus a middleware, which was a Lambda in the middle using some kind of a cloud gateway. So it worked, but it had additional components in the middle. With this new feature, we kind of getting rid of all the intermediate steps, and you'll be able to directly call pretty much any network-related service.
That's really cool. And with that, we are able to just call any service directly, and you have three different demos for us today.
Yeah, that is correct. Yep.
Mhm.
So right now, the limitations, right now, it is in public preview for AWS accounts only.
Mhm.
And then it will hopefully soon go into Azure as well, available in Azure. But right now, it's AWS only. So the three demos I set up for you guys, uh, three separate use cases with very similar code. So you can see, like, without having to refactor the code a whole lot, we can actually achieve three completely separate use cases. The first one is around alerting. Again, we wanted to make this fun, so we're gonna have Snowflake essentially call Alexa and send messages for alerting features through an API. The
Uh-huh.
second one is a web scraping use case, right? We do have a lot of customers that are using Spark and other platforms to do web scraping and content, storing the content, analyzing content. Again, we'll use this new feature to scrape basically data from Wikipedia around different topics. And the third one is straight up, hey, we're going to call a REST API, which is a public REST API for standardizing US postal addresses. Again, that's a real use case that from one of my customers where they are receiving addresses from customers and they want to standardize it in their database in a proper format. So these
Cool.
are the three use cases that we're going to look at.
So that's some fun. Like we're going to actually call Alexa.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. We are going to do some web scraping, and we're going to do calling APIs just to show off the range of things we can do. And I have here a message from David. David is wants some love from Azure. That's because this is public preview right now, so all Snowflake customers can use it, but only within certain regions.
I think AWS is all regions, if I remember. But Azure should be following soon. So I think that's, from what I heard, it's not going to take too long for the Azure to be onboarded on this one.
Yeah. So looking at the docs, is preview support for this feature is available to accounts on Amazon, except the Gov region, but things are going to, everyone is going to get some love. It's just we're in preview right now, so that's why how we start testing the external access integration. So would you like to go into demo mode?
Sure, let's go get started. All right, so I'm going to share my screen.
Let me unshare mine.
Let's do the entire screen and switch off. Just want to make sure that you guys can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Excellent. All right, so we're going to use the new external network access again, which is fun. It's actually, matter of fact, it's so much fun. It should be a crime, but it's not, so we're doing the demo. With this feature, you get a couple of brand new Snowflake objects that you'll be able to configure. The first one is called a network rule. Obviously, security is top of mind, anything we do in Snowflake. So one of the first things we want to make sure is that when we give you an option to call outside services from Snowflake directly, you need to be able to define those services, external services. So the first one is called a network rule. A network rule is essentially a schema level Snowflake object that you can create. Again, it could be one object, multiple objects that allows you to essentially create a list of outbound firewall rules for certain web addresses and IP addresses. And in this case, I'm creating an egress network rule that allows Snowflake servers, clusters to be able to reach out to these specific web addresses that we will use in this demo. So it's pretty much simple as creating this object.
Yeah, I love this because this divides responsibilities between your account admin and your developers. Yes, they can call any URL, but any URL, the account admin of the account lets them do.
Exactly. And the nice thing is because these are schema level objects, you can create multiples of that. So John can have a rule that can reach out to Wikipedia, but Joe might be able to just access the streetapi.com. So you can have multiple network rules dedicated to different roles. And just like any other object, you can grant access to these rules to different roles so they can start using it, right?
Excellent. That's how we make things secure.
Exactly. So now that we have our rule created, next is that we're going to create another new object called secret. A secret is, again, a schema level object that allows you to store credentials in Snowflake in a secure manner. So those credentials are not part of your code. And again, because these are Snowflake objects, then once you create a secret, you're able to grant access to this object, in this case, VoiceMonkey API, where other people can use it without actually spelling out the secret itself in the code itself. And there are different types of secrets. In this case, we're using a generic string as a secret. You can also have OAuth2 type of secret and whatnot. But for this use case, we're just using a generic one. And once you have the secret, just like any object, we can go ahead and grant that secret to a sysadmin or any other role that needs to use it. And from that point on, they should be able to use that secret for their code.
And speaking of taking risks, that was a secret that you probably...
Yeah, this is a secret until the end of this demo, then it will disappear. So don't try to call my... hopefully nobody's going to try to call my Alexa.
Yeah, and also what I like about Snowflake is that this secret is not logged. It just exists while you are saving it, and then no one else can see it on the logs or anywhere else.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But they can use it. So
exactly.
Let's see how to use it.
So now we have a firewall rule, and we also have a API key stored in a secret. Now we have to put those two together to make a combination, and that actually becomes an account level object called external access integration. And in this case, we create a integration called VoiceMonkey access integration. And in that integration, we're telling what outbound rules, what websites we can hit, as well as what APIs keys we can use in our code. So that marries the access keys with the actual web addresses. And again, you can have one or multiples listed here and make multiple combinations. But in this case, we can with this rule, I can reach out to 4 different websites, but I can only use this key if I use this integration.
Perfect.
This becomes an account level object. Again, because it's an object, we can grant this access to another role, and then they're able to leverage that object within the code. Okay. Now, in terms of what we're going to do is, I'm sure AWS has their own APIs, but I found this really easy website called voicemonkey.io. You'll kind of register it. You go into devices, you add your Alexa, register it to this website. Once you register,
already have the Amazon Music Unlimited individual.
Yes,
All right,
every
don't
time you
say
say
the name.
Alexa,
To upgrade to the family
Yes.
plan, just say upgrade
let's
Amazon Music.
just call it Alex so it doesn't wake up.
Alex, yeah, okay. So we'll call it Alex so it doesn't respond. And then once it's registered, you do get an API key. And from this API key, we're able to send announcements that we can say, let's say this is a test. And if we send a request, that should play through
This is
Alexa.
a test.
Yep.
I can hear you, Alex, now. Cool.
Perfect. All right. So that's the API that we're going to use. So if you go switch back, let's see how we do that. So it's pretty simple. We're going to create a Snowflake function called call Alex, because I don't want to say the name. And there's a single string input called topic. And the handler is, we're defining the external access integration that gives us what allows this function to be able to access the external websites that we define, and also be able to leverage certain API keys, in this case, the VoiceMonkey API key. The second thing that we are defining in part of the function, again, these two are new, is the secrets. Secrets is a parameter. It's a key value parameter. You basically put in the key that you want and how it should, which API key should be mapped out to. Again, this prevents the actual API key from being leaked out into the code itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the actual code is very simple. So we're importing a couple of objects, import requests. That's the standard, request object for Python that you can do get and put requests. And there's also underscore Snowflake import that allows you to gain access to this secret. The code is very simple. I actually had ChatGPT write it for me, so I didn't even spend time. So you create a session. Again, this is pretty standard session object that allows the code, your function, to have a single session without having to disconnect and reconnect and send multiple requests through the same session. And then you create a really basic a Python function that's basically called getPage, and has one input called topic. You create a string, a parameter called myToken, and then you use that Snowflake import that we use, and it has a new function called getGeneric secret string, and it calls the cred. So basically, that's how you map to the VoiceMonkey API key secret itself to the cred object. So once you call the cred object through this function, the output is whatever the actual secret stored in that VoiceMonkey API gets assigned to this myToken string. And then we do a simple straight call to the API. It's a get API. In the token section, we're swapping the token with the actual token, which is the key. Device name is my echo dot. That's part of that API that defines my Alex device.
Okay.
And the text equals the topic. Again, that's the message that you want to send. And then right after that, once you construct the URL, get URL, you do session.get, you get a response back, and return the response to a text and return as a result. So pretty as simple as you can get in terms of calling an API endpoint. So we'll go ahead and create this function. So that should create a brand new function called call Alex. And then once the API is done, we can actually
will
go
this
ahead
work?
and use literally standard SQL functionality to call this function.
This is a UDF. So
Exactly. This becomes a UDF. Let's say to let you know Xcode works. Hopefully this will work. Go ahead and try.
This is Snowflake calling to let you know Nextcode works.
There we go. So external APIs in real time.
That's
We're
amazing.
able to call an API and make Alex talk.
Yes. So if you had a sub-select doing a count start, you could do a join and let it tell you whatever results you're getting.
Exactly. So you could use this for alerting features. Again, this will be probably pre-annoying alerts, but you could run this right after a pipeline ends, or if there's an error or failure, you can have your Alexa tell you all about it.
I find that super cool. Some questions before we go to the next demo. David, he's interested because he's saying rules and secrets are database level, but the integration is account level. You have any thoughts on that design?
I will have to, I guess I'll check, but my assumption is you're able to combine database level objects right here into an account level object. And when you grant this account level object the roles, they don't need to have access to those schemas. I think that's the idea behind it.
Yeah.
So these network rules and secrets can reside on different databases, different schemas. But if you want somebody to use that combination, that's account level object that you can define, assign to someone else where they don't need to access to those databases and schemas.
Nice. So we should test that. Also, what do you know? This is a question from Raj about egress and ingress charges. Of course, if we...
That's a good question. So in this case, we're doing a GET request. So I don't think there will be any egress charges. We're not sending out any data. That I would have to look at. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer.
That's okay. Those are good questions, and
yeah.
we will get answers for them, even if we don't have them right now.
Because these are primarily you're sending out URL requests, the amount of data that's being moved is fairly minimal. So even if there was any charge, I doubt it'll be anything substantial.
Yes, and let me celebrate a couple of comments that people are super happy. Manuel Isra de Aguinaga, it's amazing how simple this looks like. I love it. I love it too. And Gopal, he says that the fairly simple integration steps of Voice Monkey. It's amazing. You just did super simple steps and we are listening. So let's go to some web scraping now.
All right. So second use case is, again, that's coming from my customers. So I just wanted to quickly replicate what they were doing in Snowflake using these new rules. And in this case, we created another integration rule because this is web scraping. Again, I didn't have to do this, but just to kind of point out that you can have multiple integration rules. We can create a wiki access integration. In this case, we're just defining the network rules because this is just plain GET request from a web page. So we're not sending out secrets. So there's no secrets involved. So that means if I assign this integration to a role, they will be able to reach out to these websites in that firewall rule, but they won't be able to access any of those secrets that we defined earlier. So that's the primary reason of having, why you might want to create a new integration just for this, right? And code is shockingly similar. Again, wiki function name is obviously different. Wiki via Python, again, I didn't change the inputs. Topic is the string. Get page. The one difference is in terms of packages. We are using request package just like the other one. We're also using a beautiful soup4 package from Python. This is coming from Anaconda distribution channel. So the beautiful soup4 is basically a third-party Python library that allows you to kind of clean up the HTML code once you script the HTML page. and basically provides you with the actual text content of a page by removing all the HTML elements out of it, which makes it a lot easier.
It's already part of the Snowflake offering thanks to an account that you just ask for it. It's there.
Yeah, third-party library. Since we don't have any secrets, that's commented out. The code is going to be fairly simple and similar. You'll see that BS4 is the beautiful soup object. Exact same code. This time the website URL is wikipedia.org, wiki, and then we just want to pass a topic, basically a wiki topic, and then we want to get that page, the actual HTML content, into our response object, and then response.text becomes the HTML content of the page, and we'll send it to run it through the beautiful soup function, and that will output only the text content of that page, stripping out all the HTML elements, and we'll take that soup.getText to get the text elements and return it as a result. Again, fairly straightforward. Most of the code is identical, and I did that on purpose to show you that you don't need to engineer a whole lot different code to do different things. So now that our code function is registered, we can go ahead and call wiki Python. And in this case, I'm asking it to go into Snowflake Inc. is the topic. So now I run it. So it took about 2.2 seconds. And if I expand this, so this actually scrapes the Wikipedia's page around Snowflake Inc., right? But you'll see that all the HTML elements are removed, and some of this like main menu items and things like that. So that is how it works, but you're not limited to just do a single calls. You can also pass in actual columns to it as well. So in this case, we can create a table, a sample table, right? Called wiki websites with a single column called topic. And we're just going to insert a couple of values there that we want to extract. So now
just like SQL.
Yeah, just
SQL.
Plain old
calling
SQL.
Whatever website you want to call.
Exactly. So I have a table with 3 rows.
Any logic with Python, crazy.
Yeah. BMW, Snowflake Inc., and Hard Rock Cafe. And in this case, now we're going to call the same function against all 3 websites. And then now Python is running in parallel. So you'll see that the response time was about the same, 2.8 seconds. That's because Snowflake parallelizes that function. So it's actually making individual calls to the different pages all at the same time. So that's handled by Snowflake, so you don't have to worry about it. And
as
again,
long as we're not killing Wikipedia, but yes.
Yes, as long as Wikipedia is not throttling things. And I can go ahead and insert another 3 rows. Now I have 6 rows, right? And I can run the same thing against 6 rows. Again, it should be about the same time, the execution time, because we're parallelizing all these workloads. So you can see different web pages scraped. So now I can go ahead and extract or analyze, run it through ML process and whatnot. So that's a very simple way to extract web content from public web pages.
Beautiful.
So that was our second use case.
Yes, I have 2 questions that are very similar, one from LinkedIn, one from YouTube. People always want to do more. So Krishna is already asking, is it always the public internet? How about some private network, internal APIs? On
Good
YouTube,
question.
Aditya is asking the same. Connect to AWS VPC to the enterprise network.
Yeah. As far as I know, the public preview is limited to publicly facing URLs. So if the URL is behind some kind of firewall or VPC, currently we're not able to access that. But from what I hear, that will change in the future.
Yeah, especially if customers are asking for it, then why not? Yeah,
exactly.
But I love that everyone is thinking of how do we extend this right now.
And I have these are pretty simple. I'm a lazy person, so I don't want to code a whole lot. But I do have colleagues that actually built external functions that can call MySQL and Postgres databases using drivers. So the use case is pretty much unlimited as long as the endpoint is accessible through public internet.
Beautiful. No, we're not limited to just downloading web pages. We
All
can do
right.
APIs. And you're going to show us an API next. I
Sure.
see in your clock that we have 4 minutes left.
All right, let's go
It's
ahead and get
1:26
cranking.
p.m.
So
in
that's
your home.
another real use case. So again, we're going to create a brand new secret for this another REST API. It's going to Streets API. This allows you to basically set a REST API that you can send U.S. postal addresses, and that will return a standardized USPS version of it, along with additional metadata around like lat long coordinates and commercial and residential and things like that. So again, we create our secret, we create an integration rule, marrying the network addresses to API keys, and pretty much the function is US address. In that case, we're passing a different URL. We're passing the address in this case, and we're just going to clean up of the what you get is a JSON payload in this case. We just remove the array elements and returning the output. Again, shockingly similar to the first code with few changes. Again, now if I actually send this US address, and what I get in return is a JSON payload of the actual fixed up version primary address along with lat long coordinates and additional metadata. But again, if you want to do this for bulk, we can actually create an address list, table, insert a couple of addresses with missing zip codes and different casings, right? And then if you look at the address list, now this on the left-hand side, we have the original addresses. Some are partial, some are full. And if you want to update this table quickly with the new functionality that we have, US address function, now we updated it. Now I can take that and parse that JSON into individual elements. So now I have the new address as well as lat long and zoning type for that address with the proper zip codes and casings. So again, this is essentially doing a REST API call. Okay.
Bravo, my friend.
One last thing before we close. The same thing is also available with Snowpark. So you are able to register a function using the Snowpark UDFs. They added a new option to basically define your token. When you register the function, you can actually point out the external access integrations and the secrets as part of the UDF. So the same functionality you get on the SQL side, you can exercise on Snowpark as well on 1.7 and up.
On the Python Snowpark libraries. Data
Yep.
frames. Nice.
Yep.
So cool. Do you have a meeting to go now? Do you have 2 minutes to answer the last questions before we close
Sure.
down?
Yeah,
Sure.
I can. Go ahead.
So,
ask away.
Everyone looks super happy. M2200 something says, this is insane. I agree.
Go ahead.
And I'm always thinking big because how do we contact Azure? That was Umesh. Is JavaScript supported for calling external URLs? I would say Python for now.
Not JavaScript. I think it is limited to right now Java and Python.
Java, Python.
No Scala and no JavaScript.
But people can ask. I mean, I love that we started JavaScript. Hopefully, if enough people want it. Yep. I love thinking big. Are these integrations also replicated as part of cross-cloud failover?
Good question. I will have to get back on that one.
Yeah, I would say no right now because it doesn't work cross-cloud. Just works on one cloud while we're in public preview. Yeah. But
I'm sure they'll roll that in. Yeah.
Important questions. Do you have the people want code? Do you have the Git repo?
Git repo for this code? I don't, but what we can do is I can post the code in the LinkedIn live event chat area.
Cool. And with that, I think we need to start closing. This was amazing. Any last words you would love to say before we leave?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think we started the session with a cool demo. I think we should finish it with a cool ending. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another table with a message.
Oh my God.
And then I'm going to call that message through Alexa.
Thank you for joining us on LinkedIn to preview our brand new external access feature. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day and see you at our next event with a new set of features. Bye-bye for now.
There we go.
Yes. Oh, 3 demos with 2 variants in 30 minutes. Truly awesome. Thank you, Paul. And of course, Previa wants to find the documentation. It's all here. Well, of course, you can find Nick on LinkedIn. On our documentation, go and see how to create and use an external access integration. I love our new docs. Of course, our official blog, securely connect to LLMs and other external services from Snowpark. It doesn't need to be only LLMs. And we have a Debian blog. And with that, thank you, everyone. I love you all. You can find me also LinkedIn, on what used to be Twitter, on Threads, etc. Find Nick, come to Reddit or Snowflake, share what you do. Thanks a lot, and thanks, Nick, for bringing such an exciting demo.
Yep, go ahead and use this new feature. Very cool.
Very cool. Let's make the bear dance us off now. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.